Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Jan here, and today I'm going to show you how to make these little cuties. I hope you like them. I've posted pictures of them. So here's one. Let me hold it up and see if I can get it any closer. And here's another one that I did. Let me get it actually fully in the screen. And this is the little one that I did this morning, and this is the one that I'm going to be showing you how to make this afternoon. Okay, now they originated in Victorian times and they're called Tussie Mussies. And what they used to do with them was to fill them with sweets or fill them with little tiny cookies. Used to make them much larger than this. Fill them with sweets, fill them with little cookies, etc., and hang them on the tree for the children, so that each child had their name on it. But since then, another thing you can do with them is make them larger than this, as I said before, and fill them with some lovely dried flowers and anything you've got, really. Make them as decorative as you like, and you can hang them on the wall in the home. Sort of like that, you know, hang them up. And what I've made them for, I've made them right down to this size. I've reduced them right down to this size so that you can hang them on the tree again, but with paper decoration or anything you want to put in it, really. Or you can actually flatten them a bit and put them on a card. If you want to send a card with one of these on, think how cute that would be. It'd be really lovely. So without further ado, I'm going to show you how to make these. These are the difference between these is this one here I've really stuffed. I've half sort of stuffed this one, and I've made this one a little bit more low-key. So I'm going to start with this one because basically you can put any decoration in here that you want to. So, you know, knowing that I like a bit of bling, there's plenty of bling in here. But these bits here on this one are those little, do you remember that I made those little poinsettia groups, the little miniature ones? Well, that's what they are, there and there. I have some little, let me see if I can show you them. I have some little, sort of, I think they're bridal decorations. I'm trying to get them out here. And I've just cut them down to size, and I've used them as in here. But I haven't used any in this one because I don't think it needs it. So that's those. You get quite a big bunch as a bridal decoration if you look in the hobby shops, and you just cut them down. Yeah, so in the making of the Tussie Mussie itself, there's no dies, no punches, no anything. It's just a, you know, a straightforward thing. Obviously I've used dies to make the leaves and the flowers and things like that, but that's just out of my stash. And these are some of the things that I'm going to be using today, like this. Okay, now one big tip I have is, well, a couple of tips actually, is when you're going to make them, put it together first and decide what bits and pieces you want in it, what foliage, etc., that you want in it, and little flowers and things, and then decorate them separately. So like you can see on these, I've put glitter, I've put little diamantes, I've put all sorts of things like that to decorate them up. But do that, honestly, take a tip from me, do that separately, wait for it to dry, otherwise these will take ages for you to do. And then when you come to assemble it, you've got everything all ready, all in one place. Okay, these little things here, which are quite intriguing, I think they just add a real little something to it. They're actually, and quite a few things in here, like with the snowflakes that you can see in this one here. The snowflakes are those little die cut snowflakes that I made, and I've zhuzhed them up with some glitter. But what you need is some packaging. Now I don't know if you're going to be able to see this actually, I hope you can, but you know, it's possible that you won't be able to. Maybe if I move it around a bit. These are 1/8 of an inch strips of quite strong acetate. If you use the very thin packaging, they'll just bend straight over. They're not suitable. But if you've got quite sturdy strips like this that you can cut off of, as I say, packaging, or else I actually buy it. You know, it's you just get it from the same craft or art shops or whatever, buy it in sheets, because I use it also for when I'm packaging up a whole group of things, and I adhere them to this. But yeah, you need 1/8 of an inch strips, and the longest strips you need are, and I will be able to put this underneath hopefully, are about 4.5 inches. So 1/8 of an inch. If you cut several to about 4.5 inches, then you can cut them down further as you may need to, if you want to. Right, okay, so let's get started on this and see where we get to. I'm going to leave this one here and move these two out of the way. These are actually, the overall size of the Tussie Mussie is 2 inches, but at the back it's bigger than that. It's nearly 3 inches. Well, it's 3 inches really. And then when you put all your ornamental pieces in it, it comes down to about 4.5 inches in size. But like this one here, for instance, this one's not going to be that. This one's going to be 4 inches, because I didn't use such tall foliage as I did with these two. But it's entirely up to you. Okay, so I'm just going to move these out of the way. These, you can be very, very creative with these. Do exactly what you want. I've even made a really tiny one like that, which I'm going to pop some flowers in, and that is really small. The smaller they are, the more fiddly they are. The taller they are, they get kind of narrow. They're narrow. These are quite wide, but they get quite narrow. But they're the size that you want to maybe put dried flowers in and hang on the wall, or that you want to fill with sweets and things like that for the Christmas tree, or anywhere you want to put them. Right, so I've collected together, excuse me a moment while I try and pick it up without it collapsing everywhere. I've gathered together just the supplies that you're going to need. Okay, so let's move him out the way. Let me make sure this is in shot. Yes, it is. So for this size of the Tussie Mussie, you're going to need a triangular piece of paper. So what you do is you cut a 4-inch square and cut it diagonally. Yeah, so that's the main body of it. With the other part that you've got left over, you need to do some markings and cut it out. And basically you need, let me see if I can find where I've done one. Well, I've done this. So you use the other triangle that you've got over, okay, and you need to cut another triangle, which is, I'll post these underneath the video to give you an idea. But you need another triangle that is 2 inches from that line to the center. So if you were doing it on the other one, you just basically put it on there. You need a piece that is 2 inches across. So let me just kind of draw that on so you get the idea. So really you don't have much wastage on this at all. You have a little bit of surrounding wastage, but you can use that to cut some of your, die cut some of your foliage. So this line here is 2 inches. Okay, you need to mark the center of that at 1 inch. So that is there, like that. And the 2 outside edges. And from those 2 outside edges, you draw down to the point at the bottom, which is here. Okay, let me line that up. Draw that down to there. There. And draw the other side down. If I can get it to line up. There we go. Right, okay, so that's the piece that you will need to cut out. Cut that piece out. This bit here is scrap, okay? But before you cut it out, what you need to do is measure across 1/4 of an inch from each side. So if you put this on here, that says 2 inches. So we want to measure it at 1/4 inch here and 1/4 inch here. And you also want to take your ruler and join it from that 1/4 inch mark right down to the tip again. This time I'm just going to do a dotted line for you so you can differentiate. Okay, so it needs to go like that on both sides. 1, 2. Okay, now so now you can cut the shape out, right? So once you've cut the shape out, what you need to do then is score from the back, score along this line here and that line there, and you fold them in, and that gives you this shape. Okay, so I cut it out, I scored it down like that, and I folded those pieces in. You don't want to trim off these edges. They're supposed to stick up because you're going to need that afterwards. Right, okay, so that's probably the longest part of this actually, is to do that. So what I've gathered together here, these are my 4.5 inch strips, and I have stuck some of these little pom-poms, which are very cheap from art and craft shops. In this one here I used white. In this one here I'm going to use the red ones. I've just stuck them at the top of that 4.5 inch pieces of acetate like that. Now on one of these other ones I'll show you, just to give you an idea. Is it that one? It's this one. You can put anything on the top of them. On this one here I put the die cut snowflakes on the acetate. You can put a bead, a flower, you can put anything you want on the top of them, or just leave them out altogether if you don't want them. As I say, this is all about your creative process. So for this one I've cut 3 of those. You want 2 5-inch pieces of very narrow lace. So this lace is about 1/2 inch. Well, in fact, actually, it was a double piece of lace like that, and I just simply cut it in half down the middle. Okay, so you want 2 narrow pieces of lace, 1 and 2. You want some ribbon, which is, let me just look at my notes again, 8 inches long. Piece of 8-inch long ribbon, and a matching bow, if that's what you want to put on there. On this one here I didn't use a bow. I put a poinsettia on there instead, but I put a little tiny bow underneath it. The others are like that, okay, with the bow. So you need some sort of bow or some sort of decoration for the front. This one here, I'm going to use some snowflakes. I don't know how many I'm going to use, but I've brought a variety and I've just glittered them up a bit, okay, so, and left them to dry. You're also going to need a variety of little punched out flowers that you've made, and you're going to need some foliage. So what I've used is something like this, bit Christmassy. I've used some of this mistletoe dye and done a couple of those. Now this here is actually one die cut, like let's see if I can get it to go together like that. That's what it is. So I cut it in half and turned one piece over because it's double-sided, so that I've got one curving that way and one curving this way. That gives it a bit of balance for me. But you can use anything. I've got anything that's a bit sort of spiky, narrow leaves maybe. This one here again was cut off of a larger piece that was all together, several pieces, and I just cut little pieces off. I've added little tiny pearls onto it, and I've put some of those white poinsettias that I've got here onto it as well. Put a few strategically placed around this bit here, usually where the leaves join the stem, to try and disguise that a bit. And as you probably saw earlier, I've got a variety of other bits and pieces here that should I run out, I've got enough pieces here. But actually that's probably all I'm going to need. So you don't actually need that many supplies. So let me just put those over there, because I don't think I'm going to need them, but might do, we'll see. Right, so that's actually all you need. That's it. So, okay, let's make a start. I'm just going to move this out of the way and just talk about glue for a moment. You really do need wet glue for this. And I use 2 different types of wet glue when I'm doing these sorts of things. One is my normal wet glue, which is Cosmic Shimmer, and I think it's fantastic. It sticks paper to paper. The only thing about it is it takes a little while to dry, and you have to really stand there and, you know, sit there and hold it, which is where these things come in, and these are absolutely invaluable, these tiny ones. I've also got a big one as well, or a couple of big ones that I'm going to use, but these particularly come in really handy. The other glue I use a lot is this 3-in-1, which is like a very tacky glue. It used to be called Fabritac. It's the same thing, but it sets up very quickly, meaning that once it grabs, and it's also thick enough to hold material like lace onto paper, and also some of the other bits that we need to stick. So I use 2 types basically. Try to store them upside down or on their side if I can. And I've got a little spatula here just for holding things together. Got some little mini scissors and my ever-present pointy tweezers because of my hands, which I've explained quite a few times. Right, okay, so we're going to make a start. And let me just find it. Right, that's it. This is the bit of paper. That was the inside, and I've just drawn that diagram for you. But we don't need that obviously drawn on. So you'll have 2 pieces of card, quite thin cardstock if you've got it. One piece that looks like that and one piece that looks like that. Okay. Now, if any of you have ever made any of those pop-up boxes of flowers, this is pretty much the same principle. It's really, really simple. It's a little bit fiddly until you get the hang of it, but that's the same with everything really, I think. So you just practice on some pieces of cardstock maybe that you don't like or wouldn't use until you kind of feel a bit confident with it, which is, you know, fairly simple. Now all I'm doing at the moment to break the fibres up is that I'm just rubbing this quite firmly through my fingers and pulling it very slightly into a curved shape like that. Okay, now we need to know the centre of the top here, so I'm going to fold it point to point like that, and I'm going to just very carefully pinch it there. I don't want it folded all the way down. I just want to know where the centre is, which is there. And for the purposes of this video, I will mark it so you can see. But normally I probably wouldn't bother. The other thing I want to say about these is that you can set up a little production line because they take time to dry. So you could set up a production line and do it over a period of days or hours or an afternoon, and maybe make, say, 6 of these things first while you're then sorting out the leaves and the flowers and everything else, and you just move from step to step to step. That's the easiest way I've found to do them, unless of course you just want to make one. Right, so what you need to do now, let me make sure I am still in the shot. Yes, right. What you need to do now is hold on to that center point and bring this side down. You don't crease it, you just roll it. And as you can see, it's not the easiest thing to do, but you do get the hang of it. Kind of tease it into place and roll it, but keep that center point like that. And you just manipulate it a bit with your fingers until you get this cone shape like this. Okay? So again, I'm going to take this point here. I'm going to hold the center and I'm just going to manipulate it, roll it round my fingers at the bottom point, and just keep rolling it until I get this shape here. Now, if your card is a bit thick or you find any difficulties with it, you can actually spray it first and, you know, make it a little bit damp, because that makes it a lot easier. However, it's easier to tear. Now, what we're looking for in the next step is we're going to take this point here and we're going to move it back and stick it to this point here, like that, so that this edge here is going straight along here. Okay, so we've got this at the moment. We're actually going to take this back and stick it to here like this. Yeah, so that this is in a totally straight line, and the neater you can get this, the better they look and the better they turn out. So basically, I'm just going to add a little bit of wet glue along this edge and a little blob of it on the corner there. Not too far down, about an inch or so down, like that. And I'm using my tweezers, but you use your fingers if you want to, if you prefer to, if you can. Unfortunately, I can't. And you're just going to get that into place exactly along that edge. So you can see it needs a little bit of manipulation, because mine has decided to set up already. You need to just manipulate it into place so that that comes along that edge there, like that. And that point meets up with that point in the corner. Okay, so we'll just let that dry for a moment, because the next step then is to wrap this right the way around and match it up at the point at the back. Okay, so that's set up. Now, the way that you do this is you hold it tightly, very tightly here, and very tightly pull this piece, matching it with the edge all the time. Now, you do have to do it tightly, and you have to really sort of manipulate it, but it is easily doable. I mean, I'm doing it and I've got bad hands. So you bring it round until you get this point at the top there. So it's corresponding with the other one. And you just kind of pinch and squeeze and push the bottom until you get a really nice point at the bottom, like that. Okay, and this top edge now will meet here. Okay, then you hold it and you run your glue along the edge here, put a nice dab of glue here, run your glue down this edge here. And this is one of the reasons why I don't think that tape would work. Actually, you really do need to have a wet glue. One of the reasons I think that I like the wet glue, and also why it works here, is because when it wets the paper, it actually bonds it together. So it's not just stuck on top, it's actually bonded, which is what you want. Now, if you want to make one of the really big Tussie Mussies, talking about while I'm holding this till it sets up, if you want to make one of the really big ones, you can use a full sheet of 12 by 12 design paper, cut it diagonally and go through exactly the same process as I'm showing you here, and that should give you a Tussie Mussie that's about 10 inches long, 10 or 11 inches long. But the more you fiddle about with it, sort of, you know, the more you'll find. So you can cut them anything from 8, 9, 10, you know, up to a 12-inch piece of card. And those are the ones that you can really put the flowers in, or some sweets, or whatever you want to. I don't want the big ones, but these are nice to hang on my little tree. So now we have this. Now what you need is a punch. This is sort of the smallest one I've got. And where this lines up at the back, this high bit here at the back, in the centre of that, it's still a bit wet. That's why mine's struggling a little bit. But I will get it in there, hopefully. You need to punch a hole, basically, in the centre. It's still a bit wet, so it's not wanting to do it. Come on. Come on, come on. Be nice. Be nice. Play nicely. Still a bit wet. That's the problem. Okay. Well, anyway, take my word for it. We're going to punch a little hole here. Okay. So make it about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch down, something like that, maybe 1/4 of an inch probably, to make it a little bit sturdier. Now the next step is for your lace. So you want 2 pieces of lace that are 5 inches, and this is a little bit sort of delicate, but this is why I say take your time, and you know, you'll have good results. So the first one is the inside piece of lace. I'm going to fold that in half, and I'm going to find the centre of this piece of lace. Then I'm going to use this tacky glue, 3-in-1, whatever you want to call it, and it's a really gloopy, but inside, level with this line here, so you can hold it a little bit flat so you can see what you're doing. I'm going to put a blob of this glue, and then I'm going to take it around the inside of this little cone, both sides, for about 1 inch, I suppose. Don't do the whole lot, otherwise it will dry before you get a chance to put the lace in. And then again, I'm going to, where that 1/2 inch was, where that halfway mark was, which you can remember, I'm going to put it inside here and hold it for a moment or two, and then probably put one of my pegs on it, which will hold it perfectly for me, while I go round and stick the rest of it inside. Now this is a bit fiddly, but basically you want as much of the lace to show as possible. So you know, don't push it down too far. Try and keep it to the edge, and you keep it flat. Okay, so I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but basically I'm running this piece of lace all the way around the inside. Yeah. And when you get to the back, you'll see that there's quite a big overlap, but you want that overlap. It's going to sit like that, but you do want that overlap because it adds to the decoration of the piece. Now when you've done this piece like that, and you've gone all the way around the inside, you want to do exactly the same with the other half, or the other piece of 5-inch narrow lace, only this time you're going to go around the outside. So again, you glue it. Let's take this off for a moment. You glue it, line it up in the centre, and stick it all the way round the outside edge. It does it really quite easily. okay? And don't forget that you have the hole, so leave a little gap at the other side so I can show you what to do next. So because this takes a time to set up and, you know, takes a little while to stick, I've got another one ready. So here's exactly the same thing, only you can see that the lace sticks up all the way round and the bottom lace goes really nice all the way round. The hole, why I'm saying leave it a bit bare at the moment, is because you want to expose the hole, right? And in the hole, like that, you want to double up your piece of ribbon, which is 8 inches. So you want to fold it in half and push it through the hole from the back through to the front and stick it down in the front. Now, sometimes if you choose, you can actually put your bow on there, in there, like that. If you've got a small enough bow, that makes it very pretty inside. It just depends how you want to decorate your little cone. And you know, if you don't mind that being covered sort of thing. So you can put your bow there, in which case that adds as bow tails. But however, I've stuck mine down with some of that glue, and I also stuck it to the lace at the top, just so that it holds it solid. Now I can, the inside piece of lace, which would have crossed over here, in here, I've cut off level, okay, so that it makes a neater edge. And on the outside of it, where it crosses over, like that, I'm now going to cut it at an angle. So I've got the two pieces have crossed over, one's crossed over the other, yeah? And I'm just going to trim that down. Oops, get my scissors. I'm going to trim that down so that it looks nice and neat, like that. And you can put a little dab of glue on there as well, which I think I probably will do, just to keep it from moving about. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little blob of glue on here, this same glue, and stick this down, let it set up. It's usually quite quick. And that is your basic Tussie Mussie. So what of the other triangle? Well, what's going to happen is that we're going to decorate this triangle as well as the back of this, and then where you have it folded in like that, you have it facing towards you, and if you just post it in there like that, you'll see that it makes another layer. And that's why I'm saying, if you've ever made those box cards with the flowers on, you know that now, instead of having just a cone with flowers in it, you have a back edge that you can decorate, the back of this, the front of this, and the back of this. It actually gives you 4 levels that you can decorate. And then once we've decorated it, then we're going to stick it in. Okay, so you can't really see it. Let me get this one out and show you. So there's my inner piece, which I hope you can see. I've decorated it, some things from the back, some things from the front. And on this one, I didn't need to put anything on the back of the inside. On these ones, I did. I put some extra little flowers and that on the inside of this. But you don't have to. Right, okay, so now that's dry. Let me just pick some glue off of my tweezers so that I can use them. Right, let's put that out of the way, push those out of the way. So now your imagination runs away with you. You can do exactly what you like. So I've decided that I'm going to start off with a large piece of foliage that's going to go in the back there like that. So let's get that stuck down. And again, because it's sticking onto lace, I'm going to use this glue, which is going a bit gloopy at the moment, so it's taking a bit of time to come out. So you only want a little tiny bit of glue on the bottom. And because it's pre-decorated, you did it earlier, you don't have to mess about with things. So you just put it in, hold it there for a few moments, until it sets itself like that, and you get the next piece. And the next piece I'm going to put in is one of these pieces like this, and then I've got one that matches the other side. Now, you don't have to match anything, it's just that I'm a bit OCD and therefore I tend to do it. So from the back side, you're going to add some glue, a nice big glob of it since it's all coming out, and you're just going to overlap it slightly, stick it in here like this, let it set up, and same with the other piece, just stick it in there. Now this one here, obviously you can see all my writing on the inside, but obviously yours won't have that. So I'm just going to pop that in there. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say, take this out before you do any of that. So take this centerpiece out. You don't want to do the centerpiece with all these bits here. So, okay, that's sticking well. Looks a bit messy at the moment, but that's again because I'm doing it at arm's length and you won't be. Right, okay, so we let that set for a bit while we work on this piece. And let me get some tissue for this because it's just bubbling out constantly. Put the lid on it for a moment and get my glue mat over. So now I'm going to, I don't need that because I've already threaded it, supposedly. Now we're going to work on this piece while this one here is setting up, okay? So I've decided that I'm going to have, in doing this one, I'm going to have some of these things coming in from the back, from behind it. So you turn it over. Okay, let me just check I'm still there. You can still see me, just about. Let's move it back a bit. Hang on. Is that better? Yeah. So I'm going to stick the front, I'm going to stick it face down like that and just make a nice little arrangement, really. You can use your ordinary wet glue for this because it's paper to paper. There's no lace involved in it. I'm just going to put a dab of glue on here like this, and as usual my tummy has decided to chime in. It's crazy, it does it every time. So I'm going to put some of this here. I think I will put maybe a piece of this down here. It's just anything that, you know, strikes you as being decorative or something you like, a bit wintry. You could make this in a beautiful blue, actually, if you use some of the blue paper. So I'm going to put another piece sort of next to it, overlapping it a bit. And I'm going to go for these two pieces, which I'm going to pop on the outside. So again, I've already decorated it with my pearls and my flower. Pop a bit of glue on it. Saves a lot of time, that does. And that's like what I said you could be doing while you're waiting for your cones to dry, if you sort of do them as a production line. So there's one. I'm going to put the other one down. But again, just to repeat, have all your pieces that you roughly know where they're going to go. You've got it roughly worked out where you want all your pieces to go. Okay, so that it's not a shock. Now this one here, I want that to come in front of that foliage. So I'm just going to bend it round in front like that. And that to me looks quite nice. It's quite a good little arrangement. By the time I've folded these corners in like that, I quite like that. Oops. Behave, hands. Right, there we go, like that. You can put anything on there. On this one here, I've put little gems on all of the leaves, pearls on the little mistletoe pieces, whereas here I've put tiny micro pearls on there and glitter on here. Right, now I'm going to put a few of these little flowers along the front just to decorate it. So I'm going to pop a few of these in. mean, I wish I could fast forward this because you don't need to see me sort of decorating things. You can decorate it yourself however you want to, but I can't fast forward it, so I'm just giving you a few ideas. I'm hoping the video is not going to be too long. So you just put them randomly down to fill in any gaps that you might have. One there, I think. So I'm just gluing the middle and I'm sticking it as far up this edge as I can. In fact, in some places I'm just putting it on the foliage. Okay, press that down. Now then, the next piece that you need to do basically is pop this in. So I'm now going to run some of this heavy duty glue down the two sides, just simply because it is thicker and it sets better, whereas the other glue is absolutely fine, but you'll be waiting for it for a while. Come on, come on. There we go. So I'm going to run a good thick blob of this glue down the sides, a big amount, and another big amount this side. So it's nice and gloopy, so it will sit there perfectly well. Pop the lid back on to stop it getting everywhere. And then I'm going to post this inside here and push it down as far as it will go. There we go, like that. So that gives you another layer of dimension there. Yeah, looks really pretty already. I was thinking I might try and put some, maybe a snowflake in the back there to try and, well, not to try and cover the back, but just simply because it looks pretty. So I think I'll do that actually. So a nice bit of glue. You need very, very few sort of supplies and that to do this, because a little goes a really long way actually. So I'm just going to pop that down there and stick it down, and that covers those ribbon ends and the bits and pieces. Yeah. And I can use maybe some of the small snowflakes in the front, just peeking out, or put them on here or here or here. But I'll see about that in a moment, okay? Because the next thing I want to do is just pop in these little bits, which I think do enhance it. And like I say, you could put anything you want on the back of these, anything. So I'm going to use them. I'm just going to post them in here. I usually like things in threes, so you can see that will go down as far as that, which suits me fine. So on the back of it, I'm going to put a really good thick layer of this glue for about an inch, inch and a half, like that. And then I'm just going to post it down where I want it to go. And if you're careful, you can just slide it down until it won't go any further. Okay. If you want another one that's maybe a little bit shorter, trim a bit off the end. So maybe I'll trim about, I don't know, half an inch or so. Just try it, see what works. Again, on the back of it, stick your big blob of the glue, slide it down until it either stops or it reaches the length that you want it to be. So I want mine to be sort of about there, I suppose, and I want it to be slightly behind that foliage. So that suits me fine. And then I have the last one, which I think I'm going to stick to the back of the front, if you see what I mean. So you see this, you see the partition in the middle. I'm going to actually stick it to the back of that, and I want this to be taller. Yeah, probably taller. So I'm going to put, it's already picking up a lot of glue, so that'll be fine for me. I'm just going to push that in till I get it to the side, the length that I want it to be, which is probably about there. And I am just going to press that down and hold it there, and that's done. And then in the front, I think I'm going to do a snowflake with a ribbon on it. So I'm going to first stick down my snowflake. So this one is sort of a snowflake theme, so I'm going to put some glue on there. See, it's gone disgusting at the moment, absolutely disgusting, but still workable. I'm going to put down a nice snowflake, so I'll use this big one. Pop that down there in the center like that, and then I'm going to add my bow that I made, and it matches the ribbon at the back. Okay, while I'm here, I'd like to say thank you so much for taking the time to watch my videos, to join my little group, my embellishments group. I really hope that you're learning something and it's giving you some ideas, and I would really love it if you'd be prepared to leave a comment, leave a thumbs up on the actual video, because then YouTube sort of recognise that people are enjoying my videos and they promote them more, which is really what I need, so that more people get to see them. So here, let's move everything out of the way. Let's move this out of the way. You can spend as much or as little time as you want to with your decorating, but for me, I think that's quite pretty. And it's falling apart because I've just stuck my fingers on the wet glue, but that's how it looks. You can tuck a little sentiment in here. You can do anything you want, and as the, you know, with the air movement, you'll see that these move and that, and so that's this afternoon's little Tussie Mussie, and that goes with the one that I made this morning. So here you go, you can make them in any colours you like. The other thing you can do, if you want to, is when you've made your cone shape, and instead of putting lace around it, you can get a lace doily and cut a lace doily in half and wrap it round so that the whole thing is covered with a lacy finish. Yeah, but anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you've got any questions, please do ask. I'll try and post all the sizes in the description below, and yeah, let me know if you like it. Thank you. Take care. Bye now.